A lot of people wonder why they say in the Appalachias not to go into the woods at night, not to whistle, not to sing, and always make sure you close your windows and you lock your doors and absolutely never respond to anything that calls your name. So, this goes back to an old Native American belief in the area that these mountains were home to spirits and that they would come out and wander during the night. And I've heard two stories that will give you an idea as to why you should not do these things at night. So there was a man named Jeff. He lived outside of Knoxville, Tennessee. And he was told about this spot up in the mountains where there was some good mushrooms. But no one would go to this area because they were very superstitious. So Jeff thinks, I'm going to go to this area and get a good haul. And, what do I care? There's no such thing as ghost. So he goes out, he parks his car, he goes into the woods, and he's hunting for several hours. He starts to notice the sun is going down, it's getting dark, it's time to head back to his vehicle. Now, as he's walking through the woods, he all of a sudden hears, Jeff, Jeff, come here, come, Jeff. And he hears his name being called. So Jeff knows from legend that if you hear something calling your name, you do not respond. So he just keeps on walking, and all of a sudden, he hears this louder and louder, his name being called. And then he starts hearing screaming coming from deep in the woods. And he hears laughter, and he hears what sounds like people just talking all around him. So he starts walking faster and faster, and he knows the way he came in, but for some reason, it feels like the trees are almost moving, and he is going in the wrong direction now. And finally, he comes out sort of to this open area, and he sees a man standing out in this field, but he's turned around looking in the opposite direction. So Jeff goes up and approaches this guy and says, "Excuse me, sir, do you know the route back to the highway?" And when this man turns around, Jeff realizes that it's himself, and he's all bloody and bruised, and he's just staring back at him. So Jeff runs as fast as he can for several miles, gets in his car, and drives back home. Later that night, he's awoken to hearing voices inside his room calling out to him, "Jeff, come back, come, come." And so Jeff never went back into the woods again, mushroom hunting. And the second story I've heard is there was a couple who decided they were going to live in the Appalachian Mountains for a summer. They find this cabin for rent, and they're surprised at how cheap the price is for 6 months. So they rent this cabin, and they go out there and they bring all their stuff to move in. And this guy in a truck, he meets them out there, and he's very nervous. And he tells them, hey, at night, you're going to want to lock your doors and close the blinds. And then he gets in his truck and he leaves as fast as he can. So this couple is just in awe of how nice this log cabin is and the fact that they got it for almost, this huge steal. So that night they go into their cabin, they make themselves comfortable. It gets dark. And all of a sudden they hear a thump, thump, thump up on the roof. And it sounds like something or someone is walking across the roof. And then they hear banging on the side of the house, and they hear these large booms and creaks and sounds coming all around them from outside. It sounds almost like their house is being invaded. Eventually, the sound dies down and daylight comes. The next day, same thing happens, and for several weeks this goes on. So finally, the husband is fed up, and he says, you know what, I'm done. We're taking our home back. We're tired of being harassed. So in the middle of the night, when these sounds start happening again, he goes to the window, he opens the curtains, and then he looks out the window, and standing out behind the window is a woman, and she has this pale, long face and white, gray hair going over her shoulders. And he notices she has solid white eyes, and she's just staring at him. And then she points directly at him, and that's when all hell breaks loose. He starts hearing banging on the roof, banging on the sides of the house. The house feels like almost like an earthquake is happening. And then he shuts the blinds. They run into the bathroom, and they hide for the rest of the night. The next day, they decide, we're through with this, and they leave, never to return again.